Chapter 5. A nice little bistro. A little bistro. In in 1994, the year of that meeting with Bonser and Bodwell, Maurice Hank Greenberger was 69 years old and had been the chief executive of AG for a remarkable 26 years, perhaps even more remarkable despite his age and intellect of his tenure. He showed no signs of slowing down. He had no succession plan and zero interest in creating one. Two of these sons had become eight ranking executives at and were often mentioned as potential successors, but eventually left to run other insurance companies once they realized that Greenberg was never going to give them the keys to the kingdom. He was dominant, brilliant, irascible, short-tempered, controlling, obsessive, and by far the most successful insurance executive of his era, and perhaps any era, since mm, na- since 1968, when H founder C.B. Starr catapulted him over to higher ranking executives to be the CEO. He had transformed Starr's company, which had been founded in Shanghai nearly 50 years earlier, from a quirky, privately held firm into the largest insurance company in the world. It had a stock price that outpaced its competitors, a reputation for trading where others wouldn't, and earnings grown so steady, topping 2 billion a year by the mind 1990. That is was the envy of the industry. H wasn't just Greenberg's company, it was his creation, his baby, his son and his mom and his sisters. People sometimes joked that he planned to run it from the grave. The son of a taxi driver from the Bronx, Greenberg was as up by his bootstraps as a 20th century New Yorker could be. He ran away from home at 17 to fight in World War II, took part in the Normandy invasion, attended the University of Miami and New York Law School, got drafted to fight again in Korea, and finally wound up in the insurance industry when he complained about the men interviewing him for a job to the men's boss. In 1916, CB Stars lured Greenberg to H 2 years later, he put him in charge of AG's struggling USA's operation, which he turned into a roaring success 6 years later. With stars just months from it, he anointed Greenberg as his successor. Greenberg, Greenberg's passion for age went well beyond the norm and would to any company executive who didn't share that passion, he thought nothing of calling executives at 3 a.m. to discuss business behavior for which he made no apologies. One Thanksgiving he called eight executives at Matthews. His longtime consigliere were just about to sit down for dinner. Matthews told him, "I just finished my dinner," replied Greenberger, who then proceeded to talk business for so long that Matthews' family had finished their own Thanksgiving dinner by the time the conversation ended. He would have weekly meetings with his key lieutenants, the main point of which sometimes seemed to be to give Greenberger the opportunity to berate them in front of their peers. He could be unmerciful, recalls a long time had Fortune magazine in one of the many profiles it has published over the years, told of a time an executive being exiled by Greenberger couldn't take it anymore. You know, he finally conceded. "You're right." Greenberger shot back. "I don't need you to tell me I'm right." Indeed, Greenberger felt sure he had a better understanding of the different division than the man running those division died. After all, it was Greenberger who had come up with the brainstorms, pushed into new business, and engineered the mergers that had turned it into an insurance behemoth, operate insurance subsidiaries in countries, and Greenberger had his finger on the pulse of every last one of them, or so at least in cement. A lot of the strategy was run out of Hank's head, says a former executive. He had most of the ideas about how to run the business, and he fully expects his executives to carry out those ideas. To no questions asked. One famous story involved Iranian American executive Qasim Shabani, who Greenberger sent to Iran in the early 1970s, because Shabani knew some family members of the Shah of Iran. Greenberger assigned him to tasks of convincing the company was then allowed to do Once in Tehran, Savani discovered that the only way could get into Iran was if the parliament passed a law inviting it in. He returned to the United States and told Greenberger that the chances of this happening were remote. If I were you, I'd give up, he said. According to Fortune, I didn't ask you what was necessary to do this, replied Greenberger. I just asked for you to get it done. He did, among other things. Savani married the SAS social secretary, having at some point gotten divorced from his American wife. Sure enough, the law was passed in 1975 and ran a profitable business in Iran until the Iranian Revolution for years later. To put in another way, Greenberger didn't so much manage his executive team as control team. Ruining has a not so benevolent dictatorship. One way he did this was by establishing for the top, perhaps one of the famous, generous, yet most onerous bonus plans ever devised. Each year, the 302 top executives were granted units of participation in a company called Starrett International Company, or SICO, which was based in Panama, was its longest shareholder, and its value rose as shares rose. Greenberger, in turn, was SICO's biggest shareholder, with 25% of the company, and SICO's board was made up almost entirely of executives. Her, however, was the catch: you couldn't get your hands on your accumulated SICO bonus until you turned 65. If you were still with age when you turned 65, you could walk away with tens of millions of dollars. But if you left the day before your 65th birthday, you got nothing. Greenberger, of course, was the one who decided how many units of participation you got. There was, however, one piece of gate that Greenberger didn't control. It was known as financial products. If everyone called it it. It was key part of the company in the derivatives business. He, he headquartered in Wilton and London. It was run by Howard Sutton, who was every bit the control freak that Greenberg was, and who made it plain that he expected Greenberg to stay out of his payment, even though the division was making plenty of profits. This was hardly a situation that could continue indefinitely, and it didn't. Eventually, Sosin faltered, at which point Greenberg pounced. That is what Greenberg was referring to when he spoke to Browser and but well, he had finally managed to put FP under his stump.